guys, welcome back to the Kind of an Expert podcast, the only podcast where the guest picks a topic of every episode. My name is Corey Tyndall, and as always, I am your host. And this week, I sat down with New York City comedian Jesse Townsend once again for our 2023 fantasy football podcast episode. This got everything you're going to need for going forward. The QB rankings, the sleepers, the league winners, the best running backs to tape, and even at the end, a little bit of a treat for you people in Dynasty and Keeper League. So this is a great episode. Follow Jesse at I'm Jesse Townsend on all social media. You can see his show list on Instagram there. He's at Greenwich Village Comedy Club, Broadway Comedy Club. And follow me at Corey T Comedy on all social media. Come to a comedy show every single week at Ferns in the East Village. As always, if you really like Jesse or come to the show, shoot us a message. We'll get him on the show you're coming to. With that, let's get into the episode. Cheers, buddy. Cheers. Officially 2023 fantasy football season.
Oh, the greatest
Jesse
season of all.
Jesse Townsend's back, everybody. Round of applause. There's no audience, but you can still give a round of applause at home.
Also, before I even get started, first off, if you listened last year, you're welcome, okay? I listened back to it. I went for a run the other day. I listened back to the podcast we did last year, and my hot take was you cannot draft Travis Kelce high enough. All right, last year when we recorded the podcast, he was like a second. Some leagues, he was just slipping into the third round, but he was like lower, like mid-second round to early third.
Yep.
And I came on the podcast, and I was like, you cannot draft him high enough. He was already the best tight end in all of football. Then you take away Tyreek Hill, and you didn't add any other. You added no other weapons.
I know.
All of the volume was going to Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
I was like, it makes too much sense. And I came on here and I was like, if I'm sitting at the number 1 overall pick, give me Travis Kelce over Jonathan Taylor. And you were like, I don't know about all that.
I don't know.
You said he might warrant late first round pick.
Yeah.
But I was like, no. I think he'll have a better year than Jonathan Taylor does. And, I mean, Jonathan Taylor shit the bed last year.
He did, yeah.
And if you drafted Travis Kelce, that dude cleaned the shit out of the bed, made the bed, and left a mint on your pillow, okay? Like, Travis Kelce.
What a gentleman.
What a gentleman. What an absolute dog, all right? Fucking Travis Kelce, if he was on your team, if you listened to me and you drafted Travis Kelce, you probably won your league last year. Because he was the tight end 1, and the tight end 2 was so far beneath him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was the craziest gap between the two.
Keep
like,
talking.
If you look at most fantasy football websites, the big thing with rankings now is not only just like 1, 2, 3, but a lot of places do tiers, right? So you got tier 1, tier 2. Travis Kelce was in a tier of his own last year.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to continue to be in a tier of his own this year as well. I think his ADP reflects that. I can't see anyone else putting up
another
Kelce.
One.
I don't know. I don't know.
He's touching 35, isn't he? How old is he?
He's going on 34 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here's the thing.
Tough position, man.
Here's the thing, though. I really
Derwin James can only suplex you so many times.
Here's the thing, though. I really do think there's just not another tight end putting in that level of volume and has that level of skill right now, honestly.
Yeah.
The closest guy to him was Mark Andrews, but they finally gave Lamar Jackson a bunch of other weapons. So I think his volume might even go down. I think Travis Kelce, I do think he will have a worse year than last year. I don't think he can replicate those touchdown numbers again, but I do still think he's going to be the tight end 1.
Okay. I do agree with tight end 1.
Yes.
And if you've got, especially if you're in a keeper league where you're keeping a solid wide receiver or a solid running back, then grab him.
Grab him.
Makes a lot of
Why
sense.
Not? Or if you did get him, if you were in one of those leagues where he went in the 3rd round last year, fucking keep his ass, all right? Oh, my God. But since we noted on tier lists, I want to jump straight into my hot take for this year.
Hit me. Starting
the hot take, we're talking about the quarterback position.
Yep.
The tiers, so here's the thing. Everyone is saying the elite tier, the top 3 are going to finish as the top 3, and it's guaranteed. And I agree with you. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen will be the top 3 quarterbacks barring any injury. All right? I don't think it's up for debate.
In that order?
No.
In any
just
order?
those 3.
Great.
They're a safe bet. You could take them in any order you like if you prefer one or the other. To be fair, I do think there is a obvious one with more upside, and I'll get into that in a second. But because they're in a tier of its own, everyone is taking these guys in the second round.
Yeah.
Third round, they're getting drafted where Travis Kelce was last year.
Right.
And I think that is a fucking reach for a quarterback.
It just seems
It
like
feels very high.
It could work, but the odds of you getting a better payout are almost none.
I am against taking a tight end or quarterback this year before you fill both your RB1 and your wide receiver 1.
Okay.
And I think that's the case for most fantasy seasons.
Yep.
And this year, the only way I would be okay with it, is if that quarterback, I'm still not a huge fan, but if you want an elite quarterback this year, and you're like, I've planned it out, I'm okay with giving up my second round pick for a quarterback, the only way I'm okay with it is if it's Jalen Hurts. And look, I know I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I know I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I know I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and I'm biased. But here's the reason why.
Okay.
I have a good reason for this.
Yeah.
You're not drafting him as a quarterback. You are drafting him as the Philadelphia Eagles goal line running back.
Wow.
Within the 5 yards. Within the 5
Yeah.
yards. They put the QB sneak in there. It's the reason why I'm avoiding the whole entire Philadelphia Eagles backfield.
Yeah.
Because Miles Sanders had a great year last year. Fantastic year. Fantasy football-wise, not great. I think he was like the RB22 or something. Not even a top 22 guy.
Also not a goal line guy.
Yeah,
Every
exactly.
single one of his carries went to Jamal Williams.
There are not going to be rushing touchdowns in the Philadelphia backfield. Those touchdowns are going to Jalen Hurts again.
Okay.
That's going to be the same thing until that quarterback sneak stops working. They're going to keep fucking running it into the ground. It was insanely successful. And like I said, it's not even a homer pick because I'm very against going quarterback that early.
Yeah.
I'm really against it. But if you're picking out of those top 3, my justification is no other team is rushing their quarterback on the goal line like the Eagles are. They use the quarterback sneak 5 times more than any other team in the league.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. They used it 5 times more than the second most team.
Okay.
That's insane to me. All right?
Yeah.
And they're not just using it on they used it sometimes on 4th and short, but a lot of it came on the goal line.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it in the Super Bowl. They were like, hey,
Well, they know
4th
it
and
works.
goal. They were like, fuck it.
Yep.
We're doing it. And they punched him in because it works. It's been working because we have one of the best offensive lines. And I think that's what's drawing people to Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift. And I'm here to tell you, as an Eagles fan, don't draft those guys.
No. Don't draft Swift. He gets hurt too often.
Not only that, Rashad Penny also gets injured, but also the reports out of camp is that Kenneth Gainwell is getting the most of the snaps.
Wow.
If there are 3 running backs that are getting volume, that means none of them are going to be a fantasy value.
Yeah.
That's just
I
because
agree.
even like running back by committee, if you have one of the guys, you're kind of hoping like one of the other ones goes down. That way your volume goes up. But now for you to be like the workhorse back, you need 2 other guys to get injured.
Yeah.
Like I just don't see a Philadelphia backfield. I don't see a Philadelphia Eagles running back putting up good numbers this year. I'm avoiding that backfield there.
So I agree. Let's stick with the quarterback because I want to provide a counterpoint. And so you're saying that Jalen Hurts, if he's the one that if you're going to take in the first or second round, he would be the one because of the rushing touchdowns. I am afraid now that he is the franchise guy because going into last year it was like, hey, we believe in Hurts, but if they started 0-5, then they would have he's the franchise guy now. I am a little bit afraid that he will not be used for goal line rushes in the same way that Lamar Jackson is not used for goal line rushes, and that is because they don't want to injure their face of the franchise.
I don't think that's the case. I think it became very apparent during this season that he is our guy, and we still did it in the Super Bowl. We were no longer about
that
protecting.
was an important game, though. It's like Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Here's the thing. Pat Mahomes doesn't run unless it's important.
We did it throughout the playoffs. We did it even when we clinched a spot. We were still doing the QB sneak.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni doesn't give a fuck about playing shit safe. All right.
Hopefully he doesn't get hurt then.
Nick Sirianni went out there against the Giants. He literally went for 2 just so he could replicate the score of that fucking beatdown against the Vikings a couple years back.
Nice.
Literally 38-7. He was like, he called a 2-point conversion, and the refs were like, "What are you doing? You're up by 20." And he goes, "I know what the fuck I'm doing." You can find that clip. He words it out. It got caught on camera. Nick Sirianni, a dog. I know you can't draft a coach in fantasy, but if you could, I'd draft him. I love the guy.
Okay.
But more about quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because my quarterback hot take's not over. Okay. If you've listened to any fantasy football podcast out there, whether it's the Fantasy Footballers, if you're listening to Matthew Berry, if you're listening to Rich Eisen, anybody who gives fantasy football advice, you know that the sleeper of all sleepers this year is Justin Fields. Everyone is talking about how his ceiling is quarterback 1. He could be the guy because rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and the year 2 quarterbacks, when they get an elite receiver, the jump they can make, as we've seen with Josh Allen when he got Stephon Diggs, or Tua when he got Tyreek Hill, or Jalen Hurts when he got A.J. Brown. But I got news for you. DJ Moore is not Tyreek Hill. He is not A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
He is not Stephon Diggs. DJ Moore is not him, okay? And also, I loved Justin Fields when he was the quarterback 10, quarterback 11, early in the drafts, before everyone called him the sleeper of all sleepers. But now, because everyone unanimously decides he's a sleeper, he is no longer a sleeper. He's wide the fuck awake. He is the quarterback 6, which is honestly kind of where my ceiling for Justin Fields is at. Because those top 3 quarterbacks, I said it. Those are going to be the top 3 quarterbacks, barring any injury, right? And then I think 4 and 5, I think probably Joe Burrow, no injury. I'd say he's probably in there. Yeah. And I'll talk about my 5th in a minute because I think he's the guy that everybody – what you want Justin Fields to be is what Trevor Lawrence is going to be.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. He checks all the boxes that we're hyping Justin Fields up for. But Justin Fields is the quarterback 6 right now. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback 8. So you're getting Trevor Lawrence at a cheaper price. Yeah. At a cheaper price. And all of the pros that you have for Justin Fields applied to Trevor Lawrence right now. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. No.
Not to that extent. No.
Hear me out. Hear me out before you shit on it. Just give me yes or no's. I'll let you debate this afterwards. Just give me yes or no's when I go. Yep. Okay? They say Justin Fields is a good scrambler. Is Trevor Lawrence a good scrambler?
Scrambler,
yes or no?
Yes.
Yep. There we go. Okay, so he can get running yards. Okay, cool. Perfect.
But those are different levels of good.
We'll debate after, right?
All right.
They said DJ Moore is an elite wide receiver, which questionable, okay? Yeah. Already don't like that take. But they're saying they added a good wide receiver to the team this offseason. Is Calvin Ridley a good wide receiver?
That's one of my hot takes. I don't know. I don't really think so.
Here's the thing. He did miss all of last year. But at his peak in Atlanta, he was pretty fucking good.
When he was the wide receiver 1, he wasn't very good. When he had Julio, he was great because he wasn't getting double covered.
Christian Kirk was a dog last year.
Christian Kirk was good.
I don't think he gets double covered in Jacksonville. Because if you double cover him, you're leaving Christian Kirk alone. Right. And that's a problem.
I think they'll double cover Calvin Ridley and not Christian Kirk.
Well, either way, Christian Kirk will eat.
Yeah,
either way.
I agree.
Either way, I think
skill level Ridley and DJ Moore to me are the same.
Jacksonville, in my opinion, has the better weapons.
Yes.
I
agree with that.
Okay. So they both have the run ability. Also, their running back, a better pass catcher. Their backfield is, because one, they have Travis Etienne, which I get it. His rookie year, he got injured, missed the whole year. But guess what? If Etienne goes down, they went and they drafted Tank Bigsby as well.
Yeah.
Like, that guy is also very good. They are building this offense around Trevor Lawrence, and I love Trevor Lawrence for all the reasons everyone loves Justin Fields, but also for a round or two cheaper. I'm like, dude, I really. Also, last year, when it comes to it, quarterback at its core, it's all about passing. Who was the better passer last year? Trevor Lawrence. Or Justin Fields. Yeah, absolutely. Trevor Lawrence. I mean, to me, I honestly haven't seen. I went back and watched because I was honestly pretty high on Justin Fields when he was going at the quarterback 10. But then I went back and watched. His fantasy value was solely in the back half of the year when they used him as a running back, really.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't many guys to pass to, and I don't think he can go a full 18 weeks as a running back. Like I'm a gambling man, and I'm not betting on this Chicago offense. I'm really not. I am out on Justin Fields. I don't get me wrong. I think he could still be very fantasy relevant, but I'm not drafting a guy at quarterback 6 when I think his ceiling is quarterback 6. I don't think he finishes as a top 5 quarterback. I don't. For fantasy value, here's the thing. People talk about sleepers all day long, right? And I hate that term. I'm all about fantasy value. Because here's my thing. I think you could have a sleeper in the second round, really. If it's a fantasy value, if you get a guy in the second round that it was a first round talent, that is a value right there. That is, you don't win your league on some random 12th round long shot. All right.
Yep.
You win your league on getting value throughout the draft.
Yep.
And that's just how it goes. Like, I'll give you an example. One of my huge values this year is Devontae Adams.
Are we talking Justin Fields still?
No, we're moving on.
You were like, we could debate.
We're moving on.
No,
honestly,
I'm moving on. This
okay,
is my podcast
let me hear your counterpoint.
Welcome to
I
kind of an expert with Jesse Townsend, where the host doesn't get, where the other person doesn't get to debate.
I don't think there's a debate to really be made, honestly.
I think there's 100%
I think I presented
a debate.
a lot of points, and I don't think Justin Fields...
You presented a lot of points. There's
So
a
let
very
me hear your
Republican strategy you took just right there. That was good.
Hey, they win an election every now and then.
They win one every once in a while.
With a little help from their friends.
I think
Their
where
friends
you're
being
way
Russia.
off is you reduce down the question of, are they both good scramblers? Because yes, they are good scramblers. What you didn't bring up is that Trevor Lawrence is a good scrambler for 12 to 20 yards. Justin Fields is a good scrambler from 12 to 80 yards. I watched him do it to the Lions 3 times. 3 80-yard runs last year. And I know the Lions weren't great, but guess what? The NFC North isn't that great this year. He's going to get, if I could draft him as a running back and only take his rush yards, I think he would be in the top 5 running backs. He is going to have design runs like they did for Lamar Jackson. And then part of the upside is people kind of think he could do what Josh Allen did in year 3. Where like year 1, year 2, Josh Allen, all he did was run the ball. He missed a ton of throws, super athlete. Justin Fields' ceiling, I think, could be QB 1 or 2 because, not because of his passing, but in the same way that Lamar, his MVP season was just an absolute monster. Was an absolute monster. Justin Fields is going to be able to, he will have 3 or 4 weeks where he's going to put up 40 to 50 points because the rest of the offense won't be working. They will be down by 40. He'll be rushing every other play. He's going to get, in the fourth quarter alone, I could see him with 150 yards rushing. Just doing nothing but it. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I don't think that's the right way to win. Fantasy-wise, I think he's got a good shot.
Here's the thing, 150 rushing yards and 2 picks on a day.
Sure, but you throw
that's
in a couple
11
of,
fantasy points. That is 11 fantasy points right there.
Calm down. You get 150 rushing yards. He's definitely got some touchdowns
150
in
is
there.
15.
He's going to get some touchdowns. 2 to 3 touchdowns a game. That's 4. That's, let's say, 10 points for a touchdown. We're talking his floor every week is like 20 points. I'm not saying that he's 100% going to be there, but you can't say his ceiling isn't through the fucking roof.
All I'll say,
if he can figure out how to throw 250 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 passing touchdowns a game.
If he can figure out how to pass 250 yards a game, most people in the fucking league can't.
200 yards a game. 200 yards a game, 100 yards rushing, and then 3 touchdowns all up. That's a top 5 QB right there. None of that's too crazy, especially because their defense is awful. They're going to give up 50 points a game. It's going to be so much garbage time for him.
I don't see it happening. I mean, yeah, but like You seen his passing last year. All time was garbage time for the Bears.
Josh Allen's was terrible in year 2 as well.
Okay, and Peyton Manning threw the most interceptions his rookie
that was
year.
different.
It was different.
I'm not shitting
because
on
we were
Trevor
talking
Lawrence.
about greatness then.
I think for
Justin Fields, if you go back and watch the tape, which I did recently because I take fantasy football way too seriously, I just don't see it. Also, another guy, I actually don't even see him placing quarterback 6 even as his ceiling. I think his ceiling might be 7.
No.
I think Lamar Jackson finishes above him. Lamar Jackson has a unanimous MVP under his belt, and you're giving him the best weapons of his career.
You're confusing ceiling with what's going to happen. I agree with you on what I think is going to happen.
Well, I will say
he will be QB 10. But his ceiling is in the top 3.
His ceiling's not top 3.
It's 100%
unless
top
there is
3.
an injury. Mahomes, Hurts, and fucking Allen are finishing top 3 again. Yes.
No,
Yes.
Fields can break in there.
110%.
Anyone that can run that much.
People
would have said the same thing about Lamar Jackson.
Who gets bumped out of that top 3? Who? Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback?
It could be
greatest quarterback. Jalen Hurts, who is getting goal line snaps like a running back? No.
Every coach is telling their quarterbacks to stop running as much.
Look,
just throw it away. Do the Tom Brady.
We're burning
Stick
too
around
much. We're
until
burning
you're
too much time on
45.
Justin Fields here.
It's my fucking podcast.
I get it, but I got shit to say. All right.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem.
It's your podcast. I'm only on here once a year for fantasy.
I'm telling
all right?
you
so
that you're on here way more than once a year
for fantasy. I said once a year for fantasy. All right.
We will agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree
I
here.
agree with you on where.
And if you have any fantasy football leagues,
will end up.
If you have any fantasy football leagues with any openings and there's a buy-in, I would love to take your money. I would love to. All right. It would be my honor.
I'm not drafting him. I'm just saying.
Then what are we fighting about?
Ceiling, the concept of ceiling. You're saying he has no chance of being in that top 3.
In the top 3,
he
no.
100% has a chance to be in that top 3. He could 100%
absolutely
get into
not.
that.
Disagree. Agree to disagree.
All right.
Let's move on to values.
Move on to your next topic.
Okay, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier.
Fist fight you in the middle of it.
We'll do it. I'll fight you. What I was talking about though, values. All right, like he's a mid to late second round pick. He's even slipping into the third some places. Davante Adams, who I still think could finish this year as we'll talk about a ceiling. This dude is not removed. He's a season removed from being the wide receiver 1.
Right.
And everyone's out on him because they're like, oh, Derek Carr left and they brought in Jimmy Garoppolo. Derek Carr's not elite.
No.
Why are we pretending like Derek Carr's fucking Drew Brees all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo's not a huge step down. Right? Am I right or am I wrong? Because honestly, I see everyone passing on Davante Adams, not once, but twice in fantasy football drafts, and I'm like, that's insane.
If you can get round
Davante
1 or round 2.
In round 2, I love him.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not huge on him in the first round, don't get me wrong. But if he's your second pick, so if you let's say you get a wide receiver 1, let's say realistically, you could go Tyreek Hill first round and then come back around and grab Davante Adams. That's the best wide receiver core across any fantasy football.
For sure.
That's ridiculous. Or let's say this, you go RB1 and wide receiver 1 first 2 rounds, you go maybe Austin Eckler, and then Davante Adams. That's still a stacked ass team, and you're only 2 rounds in.
Yeah.
Like I think Davante Adams is just. I do not understand the sleep. If you're in a 12-man league, honestly, then if you're sitting at 12, I get it at first round pick.
Yeah.
If you're at the end of a 12-man, I mean, here's the thing. I'd value him a little bit above Cooper Kupp. Honestly, as far as rankings go, I see Kupp's going average draft positions,
like
9th
7 or 8,
yeah, like 9th. I think was the last I saw. But the Rams offense did not give me any hope this past year.
No.
The trade rumors about Aaron Donald are not giving me any hope for the future
I hope
either.
he goes to Detroit.
I'm like, dude, what? I was like, also the talks of Sean McVay possibly taking a commentary role.
Yeah.
The future is not bright in LA. And then also a guy coming off a year-ending injury, I want the future to be as bright as possible.
Yeah.
All right? Because for you to come back after not playing for a year, you need everything to be in your favor. And right now, just nothing is looking in Cooper Kupp's favor. Not to say he won't have a good year. I do think Cooper Kupp's a tremendous athlete, but he's in his 30s now. He's coming off a 1-year injury, you know. I would honestly take Adams with a slightly worse quarterback than Cooper Kupp in his current situation. I would.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is there is a full round in the draft going between Kupp and Adams, which is insane to me. Which is why I want to tell everybody who's listening, do not look at ADP or do not draft based upon ADP. Because ADP is just what the fucking experts are writing, okay? And the experts don't know shit, okay? That's why ESPN just laid off half their writers, okay?
Well, you know what ADP? You know what ADP is?
Average draft position.
Right.
Yes.
It's calculated based off. So like ESPN's ADP is calculated based off where they're going in the actual drafts being hosted on the website. It's not the experts.
Okay, but here's the thing: the first mock drafts of the year, all of it's being determined by experts. Yes. Everyone's reading the rankings and they're like, oh, this is who I should go first. And then the ADP just follows the rankings. It really does. And honestly, here's the thing. If you're sitting like the 9th round and some 7th round pick is still sitting there and you just didn't like the 7th round pick, there's probably a reason why he's still sitting there.
Yeah.
Don't draft him just because you're like, oh, there's such good value, you know? Like, do not blindly follow the rankings. There are a lot of people that will blindly follow the rankings, and then you'll get stuck with a player that you didn't even want in the first place.
Yeah.
You know? And it's stupid because there's so many good values this year, and, like, I'm willing to reach on them, like, a round early, honestly. There are some guys that, like, they're... Honestly, like I'll give you a few of these guys.
So before we get into that real quick, I think the biggest issue with Davante Adams, and I agree he should be in the top half of at least the second round, is the coaching. I think a lot of people are very out on Josh McDaniels and having the Lions have Matt Patricia and him trying to install a Josh McDaniels style offense. It's a lot of runs. It's a lot of checkdowns. It's not a lot of stuff. Like the Vegas offense last year, they were trying to throw the ball down the field. That's where Davante Adams was. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that's the worry. Because at least in L.A., you know that Matthew Stafford wants to fucking throw the ball and Sean McVay can draw up an offense that can score some points. And so I think
here's
that's
the thing, though.
I've seen
Davante Adams be elite under 3 separate coaches during his career now. Not to mention how many different offensive coordinators. I think Davante Adams will adapt and be elite no matter what system you put him in.
He'll be good. I'm afraid he just won't get the targets.
Who else is getting the targets?
The running back. Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs not a great pass catcher.
3 and out. They're only going to get 50 plays a game because their offense is fucking terrible.
I mean, I understand that,
it's
but
like
even in garbage time,
80 plays a game. They're
in
good.
Garbage time, though, he'll still get points. You know, like even if they're out of it,
I don't know if
they're
I
going to
want
be
to
trying
use
to
a
scrape it up.
second round pick on garbage time, but
here's the thing:
I don't think you're wrong.
Josh Jacobs has some of the highest carries over the past couple seasons.
Yeah.
And the reason is he's strictly a carrying back.
Right.
He doesn't have hands.
Right.
The passing volume's not going to Josh Jacobs. The passing volume's not going to Darren Waller because they traded him for
the play volume, not the
Gotcha.
I think the play volume is going to be 60% running back.
That's how it was last year. And Davante Adams was still a dog last year.
He was pretty good.
He was pretty good. And honestly, if he replicates the same numbers, if you just copy and paste Davante Adams' numbers from last year to this year, I think it's better than what Cooper Kupp does this year.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to say
think
here.
That's valid.
And I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's a very easy and foreseeable thing. I think that's a relatively obvious thing. But then you start thinking about it a little bit more. You're like, why is Cooper Kupp going as high as he is? Because everything in L.A. is not looking good, right? And then you give the actual circumstances that surround Cooper Kupp, and you're like, okay, coming off an injury, in his 30s, maybe we skip on Cooper Kupp in the first round. I think his value is not quite there. If he was coming off that injury and he was like sliding because of the injury, I would take him.
Okay.
But he's still a first rounder, and I just don't see it. There's certain we talked about it before the podcast because you said the one pick that I did not have age gracefully from last year was Christian McCaffrey. And I told people not to draft him. And I stand by it for this year. Because the thing is, with a first-round pick, you want someone who you can trust. And that's why I said Travis Kelce was my 101 pick last year. Because, like, I knew he was going to be reliable last year. You do not want a guy. Jonathan Taylor only had one good season going into last year.
Yep.
And everyone was drafting him for that season. And I've seen too many first-round picks get drafted there and just not pan out. Like Arian Foster. We drafted him first overall because he gave us a great season. And we're like, give us Arian Foster.
Oh, I loved Arian Foster.
So many people got burnt by Arian Foster, you know?
God,
like
he was good, though.
He was so good that one year.
I know.
That one fucking year.
God.
But it's like one of those things where it's like you need, if you're going to win your league, you want someone reliable in the first round.
Yep.
And I'm passing on Christian McCaffrey again this year just because I can't gamble on his health. And then also a report out of camp, Raiders and Niners had a joint practice today. Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions.
I didn't even know he was throwing.
The Niners quarterbacks combined, so Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, and Brock Purdy, threw a combined 8 interceptions today at practice to the Raiders defense.
Nice.
Which also Raiders defense, if you're picking off 8 times,
right.
maybe Devontae Adams does get some volume, you know?
Yeah, right.
One of them's got to be a first down, right?
I know.
We'll get something there, you know? But I do want to move on to some of these values that I just at their current ADP, I'm loving these guys. This is a guy who's on your team, and I find it hard to believe that you're not going to love him too. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
I mean, I was already kind of high on him because, like, look, the Lions last year, they were a fucking running team. Like, Jared Goff looked great as a passer, but they were a run-first team. Their top 2 running backs left.
Yeah.
Williams gone to New Orleans, right? DeAndre Swift gone to Philly. They move up. They really wanted this guy. We were like, we are in love with Jahmyr Gibbs. We moved up to get him. So you know the volume's going to be there.
We got Gibbs while we still had Swift. We liked Gibbs so much that we drafted Gibbs and then
traded Swift. Yes.
Traded Swift.
But so they loved him so much, and I was just like, okay, the volume's going to be there because their top 2 backs are gone. The volume's going to be there. Now it's just, do I want to attach myself to a rookie when he's going in like a 2nd to 3rd round value?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is fuck yes. Holy shit. The clips that I am seeing coming out of training camp are insane. One-handed catches. Okay, if you're a college football fan, even in college football, his highlights looked great. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But he was not making the catches that he is making at camp. He looks like an elite pass catcher.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, he's going to be a huge part of the pass game because you have Jamison Williams missing the first 7 games of the year.
6, but yes.
6? Okay.
Yep.
6. Sorry, I misspoke there.
You're good.
But missing the first 6 games of the year, so all you really got is Amon-Ra St. Brown over there, right? Because you traded T.J. Hawkinson last year. You don't have as many weapons. I think there's going to be so much volume in both the run and pass game to Jahmyr Gibbs that honestly, Jahmyr Gibbs, if you are in a keeper league, I say he's a must draft.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to play so well that he will be a first-round pick next year.
Yep.
He will be, in my projections, I have him finishing as a top 5 running back this year. And like, honestly, that's me playing it conservative. I really see him as a top 3 guy.
So this is one I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that Jahmyr Gibbs, he's drafted as a running back. I think he is the next Deebo Samuel. I think he's actually a wide receiver that will line up in the backfield. He is so fast. They play him on the outside. They play him in the slot. They will do jet sweeps. Like we ran jet sweeps with St. Brown 3 or 4 times last year. He ended up getting like 200 yards on those combined. Gibbs is way faster than St. Brown. St. Brown is crafty. That's why he gets open. Gibbs is a rocket, dude. Like, if he doesn't get hurt, which God forbid, I think he could potentially be the Alvin Kamara of this offense. For anyone that's trying to draft Lions, what you need to remember is that Dan Campbell was the assistant head coach under Sean Payton from 2015 to like 2018 or 19 in New Orleans. They are trying to recreate that Saints offense with Drew Brees that won 13 games, 14 games, was constantly in the NFC Championship. That is the offense they want to run, and Jahmyr Gibbs is Alvin Kamara. Number 1 overall player in fantasy, Alvin Kamara, in those years.
Yeah.
Get Gibbs now because he will be first round next year for sure.
You wanna know who my next absolute steal of the draft is? Just such an insane value. Going down to Carolina for this one, Miles Sanders.
Wow,
average
you love
draft
your boy.
Average draft position is 59. So going at like the end of the 5th round.
Yeah.
So if you're doing this correctly, you have both your running backs, you got both your wide receivers. Miles Sanders in the flex could be a league winner. And I don't say that lightly, because over the past couple seasons, if you feed Miles Sanders, he will work it. Like over the past couple seasons, his yards per carry has been higher than Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
He's been one of the best and most efficient runners in the league. The only problem with Philadelphia is that we have been such a pass-heavy offense, and when we do run, it's Jalen Hurts keeping it, okay?
Yep.
If you feed Miles Sanders, he will eat. And with a rookie quarterback, they are going to rely so heavily on dump-off passes, handoffs. Miles Sanders is going to be the number 1 offensive weapon on that team. Because you traded DJ Moore, you replaced him with Adam Thielen. I love Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's older.
Yeah.
He wasn't even the wide receiver 1 when he was in Minnesota.
No.
Now you're going there.
To be fair, it was the number 1
It was
wide
the number 1 wide receiver.
It's it's tough to get spots.
It is tough.
Get throws when Justin Jefferson's on the other side.
But even before that, he was the number 2 to Stephon Diggs.
Right.
He's been kind of a career number 2.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Hey,
and
great position to be in. I'll take that.
He's a career number 2, which is great. It's great. Don't get me wrong. But now, at the older stages of his career, you're putting him in the number 1 slot. I just don't think he's going to be a great weapon down there, you know. I love Miles Sanders. If you can have Miles Sanders in the flex, if he's your RB3,
I think that's a great position.
I think that is literally like, I rarely say league winner. I said it last year once on the podcast, listening through. I said that Travis Kelce was a league winner, and I fucking meant it. And he backed it up.
He backed you up.
I really do think Miles Sanders, if he's your flex, because I think he's going to put up RB2 numbers. Okay. I really do. I think, and that is really how most leagues, when you have a good team and you make it to playoffs, it really comes down to flex position. It really does. Because if you make it to playoffs, your running backs are good, your receivers are good. It comes down to like who has that last little filler position, who has the best one. And I think Miles Sanders is going to be like that one, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm really high on Miles Sanders this year. I honestly think he should be drafted as an RB2, and the fact that he's going as an RB3 or a flex is astounding to me, and I think everybody should be jumping on this, especially because 59. I mean, if you're in a 10-man league, that's the 9th pick of the 5th round right there, right?
Yeah.
And that means most of my leagues are 10-man for the most part. That means in most of my leagues, I'm going to have the opportunity to draft him in the 5th, and I'm definitely taking him in the 5th. Easy. Without even thinking about it.
Well, that would be your 2 wide receivers, your 2 running backs, and then your flex. So you still don't have a quarterback.
Still don't have a quarterback, and I'm okay with that because honestly, if you're in a 12-man league, quarterback 13 is Kirk Cousins.
It's all right.
Oh, reliable.
It's fine.
Yeah. He's going to have some good games. He's going to have some bad games.
He'll get you 15.
Here's the thing. I think he'll finish the year probably better than quarterback 13.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's relatively low. Like,
I'm actually high on Minnesota for fantasy, not for winning games,
absolutely.
but I think Jordan Addison's going to be good. Justin Jefferson's going to be good. Kevin O'Connell is an offensive coach. Like they're going to put up points because their defense is awful.
I will jump in real quick on the Jordan Addison. I want anybody who's thinking about drafting Jordan Addison, pay close attention to his legal situation going on right now.
Oh, yeah?
He
What
got
happened?
caught speeding, doing 140 and a 55.
Nice. Was he drunk?
There's no reports of that yet.
He didn't
but
pull a Henry Ruggs, did he?
He did not. No one got
Okay,
injured.
great.
He got pulled over. He said he was
He'll be
rushing
fine.
home to take care of his dog.
Yeah, I don't buy
And
that.
I'm not buying that either.
Nah.
I don't know if the cops are.
Dude's
so
a goddamn liar.
monitor that situation
I
before you
think
go
he'll
ahead and
play.
drafting him.
You
That
don't
being
get
said,
you
know
don't
who
get
I'm
suspended for speeding.
talking about? The Vikings, though. A huge value. Alexander Madison.
Okay.
They cut Dalvin Cook, and with the amount of running backs that are in the market, like Kareem Hunt is going from place to place, fucking interviewing, right?
Dalvin
'Cause
Cook still isn't signed anywhere.
Dalvin Cook hasn't signed anywhere, but they cut him. So
Zeke
you know
hasn't.
Dalvin Cook's not coming back. That
Right.
is clear, right? But Kareem Hunt's making the rounds because everyone's like, oh, you got to pay the elite running backs, and none of those guys are breaking the way. But Kareem Hunt was a backup to Nick Chubb. He's not looking for elite money, you know? You can probably get him for a reasonable contract without having to pay a running back. And the fact that he has interviewed at Indianapolis, interviewed down in New Orleans, there has been no interviews lined up by Minnesota. They are fully hitching their truck to Alexander Madison as the workhorse running back.
Okay.
And I think with the amount of teams that go running back by committee, I think just based off volume, you've seen Alexander Madison because Dalvin Cook hasn't been a perfect sign of health.
No.
Alexander Madison has started some games in the past, and he's put up some very decent numbers as a starter. And once again, he's a guy that's going like in the 6th round, you know?
Yeah.
He's a great flex option too. You know, if the volume is there, I let's say Miles Sanders goes off the board. Let's say a lot of people are listening to this podcast. They take Miles Sanders in the 5th, and then you're scrambling for a new flex. Alexander Madison, put him in.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have RB2 numbers, you know? I think anyone that you can get, if you can get an RB2 or a wide receiver 2 and play them in the flex, that is how you win a league. That is how you win a league right there. Because everyone else is playing wide receiver 3s, RB3s. If you can play a fucking top 20 guy in the flex.
Yeah. Ramondre Stevenson in the flex spot last year is why I got to the semifinals.
Yeah, it's how you win a league. The league is won in the flex position.
Yep.
And that's why I am telling people go reliable in the 1st round. Because if you go Christian McCaffrey and he gets injured week 2, done for the year. Your RB2 moves up to 1. Your flex moves up to RB2. And then some dude you never heard of's your flex all of a sudden.
Yeah, right.
You're not winning your league anymore.
No.
You wasted a 1st round pick. That's why I'm avoiding Cooper Kupp. I'm avoiding Christian McCaffrey. Because there's one thing about playing for the ceiling, which I understand. That is a great way to play. But you also got to factor in that floor. Because honestly, Christian McCaffrey, the floor is missing 15 weeks.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp, the floor is missing 15 weeks. And I'm just not okay with a guy missing 15 weeks.
Yeah.
Nor should you be.
Well, what do you think of this philosophy around drafting? Because injuries really are the thing in football in general, but also fantasy that could just derail a season. Yeah. Your number 1 overall pick gets hurt and you're just done. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's better to go for those outside wide receivers first. So stay away from the slot guys, the guys that do the dirty work, because they get hurt. That's Cooper Kupp. That's Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's you. If you get an A.J. Brown, if you get a Jamar Chase, if you get a Justin Jefferson, they get hurt less than running backs. Austin Eckler's always kind of injured.
Look,
CMC is always kind of injured.
I get it, but just value is value. I'm not thinking about it like that. If you want me, you're telling me like Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot, like if he's going at like the end of the 2nd round, who else is up there as like an outside guy? Like
A.J. Brown is like right in line with
A.J.
him.
Brown's going. I would take A.J. Brown above him, but A.J. Brown's going a couple picks above Amon-Ra St. Brown in most mock drafts that I've seen. Who else is going around that pick? I'm drawing a blank on those guys that are like right near there.
That is kind of where
it is
Debo
more slots. Yeah, it is more slots. It's a lot of Debo
guys.
But like Amon-Ra St. Brown, though, I think can translate to an outside guy because J-Mo's gone for the first 6 weeks. There's not going to be.
He doesn't have the speed.
He doesn't have.
He won't play outside. Jameer Gibbs will play outside. Is what'll happen.
I mean, if that's the case, I love Jameer Gibbs even more.
No, that's
okay,
what I'm saying.
I can't be higher on Jameer
No, everybody
Gibbs.
should get Gibbs.
But
St. Brown's gonna be good. But
while we're talking about wide receivers, I want to talk about second-year wide receivers.
Okay.
Because second year, people talk about a sophomore slump, but also more than that, people talk about second-year progression. Now that they have a year under their belt, who makes the jump, right? That's why everyone's hyping up fucking Justin Fields. They're like, second year in the system, he's got better. Or, yeah, but he didn't start his whole first year. It was fucking messy. And it's second year in the system, though. Second year in the system.
Yep.
There was a change. So that's the whole thing, though. Second year in the system, blah, 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 right? That's the big fucking thing. Second year in the league, a lot of people are like, everyone is hyping up Garrett Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Sophomore slump.
Really?
I get it, dude. I get it. You want to be high on Garrett Wilson. He's a crazy talented wide receiver. But the amount of weapons in New York, the fact that Aaron Rodgers brought Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb with him.
Cobb ain't going to play.
The
he
way
ain't even playing Green Bay.
No. But here's the thing: he might play a little bit, and he's going to take away some of the targets. He will. He will. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. You got so many weapons there. You got Breece Hall, who's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. Yep. They interviewed Dalvin Cook. There's just going to be too many weapons on that offense for me to go, oh yeah, I want Garrett Wilson in the second round.
So are you against the Chiefs wide receivers too? Because they got the same problem. Lot of weapons, no top tier talent.
Exactly, and okay. I'm kind of steering clear of that. But here's the thing: Garrett Wilson, I do think is a top tier talent. I think Aaron Rodgers is more familiar with Allen Lazard and guys like that, and I think those guys. Because honestly, last year, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, amazing young talent at the receiver position in Green Bay, and half the weeks, Allen Lazard was putting up better numbers than those guys.
Yeah.
Just because it's a familiarity thing with Rodgers. Rodgers is going to pass to who he knows and who he can trust, And I think Garrett Wilson's just not going to see the target share that he saw last year. And I see that there's a much better quarterback under center now. I get that, right? But I just don't think the target share is there. I think he regresses. I'm not drafting him at the ADP that he's going at right now. A guy who I do love in his second year, Christopher Olave.
Yes,
I mean,
agree.
He's a guy who had a great rookie season, and his quarterback was very uncertain week to week.
Yep.
Taysom Hill was a starter for a week there.
Yeah.
Like, it was so unclear who was going to be throwing him the ball, but no matter who was throwing it, Christopher Olave was like, fuck it, I'll catch it. Like, it didn't matter who the fuck was quarterback, okay? And now you get Derek Carr, who, like I said at the beginning of the episode, not an elite passer, but compared to what Olave has had during his rookie season, might as well be the reincarnation of Drew Brees down there in New Orleans.
That's the exact same argument you could do for Garrett Wilson. I know there's more weapons.
There's so many more weapons.
I
Alvin
agree.
Kamara is suspended for 3 games.
That's true.
So there's no pass catcher in that backfield because Jamal Williams, love him, goal line vulture. He's going to get some touchdowns.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams, not a great pass catcher out of the backfield. But also, Alvin Kamara's not at practice. He's not going to be. It's a new system. Derek Carr. So, yeah, he's going to miss the first 3 games, but also once he comes back, it's going to be a slow fade in. I don't think Alvin Kamara really sees the reception share that he's been used to this season, I don't think he's going to be – I think so much volume is going to go to Olave this year. Also, look at Derek Carr. He loves a wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Devontae Adams was that guy in Oakland. The volume was fucking there, right? He will target a guy – who's going to make him look good.
Yep.
And Olave is that guy. I'm huge on Christopher Olave this year. Huge on him.
I'm big on the Saints. I'm big on Olave. I just don't. I agree with you even about the Jets with the target share. I think the thing that's going to happen is that the Jets averaged less than 20 points a game last year. If they can bump that up to 26 to 28 points, then like maybe his target share goes down, but the quality of those targets goes up. Rodgers is throwing him open. Every catch that he gets is 15 yards instead of 6. He's getting a half a more
Here's
touchdown per
Aaron
week.
Rodgers has not supported a wide receiver 1 in fantasy since Devontae Adams.
That was 2 years ago. You can't
That
act
is
like
not
that
2
was
years ago.
decades ago.
That is not 2
That was
years
2
ago.
to 3 years ago.
This will be 4 seasons removed from that.
No way.
He just played.
No.
Adams,
Devontae just went there for Derek Carr. Derek Carr left after 1 year. It was
Adams
2
had 2
years
seasons,
ago.
no? 2 seasons in
Just
Oakland,
one.
no? Just
It's
one?
been one.
One?
Aaron Rodgers loves a wide receiver 1 that he could trust. I agree that beginning of the year, I think he'll probably lean towards Allen Lazard. But, man, if Garrett Wilson's that good, Rodgers isn't going to play fair. He's too good. I don't even like the guy. Rodgers is too good to be like, oh, Garrett Wilson's getting open. I don't know. I want to help out my boy.
No, here's the thing. Garrett
Cobb
Wilson
didn't play
Garrett
last year
Wilson's
either.
gonna
You can't bring
Garrett
him
Wilson's gonna draw doubles if he's that good. And
Nah.
if Garrett draws a double and his homie
You can't.
is open, I mean, I just don't like the situation for where Garrett Wilson's getting
All
drafted.
right, we're clipping this one for next year.
Well, here's the thing.
We'll see
Here's
where
the
he
thing.
ends up.
I'll talk to you like this. Garrett Wilson's getting drafted around the same place as Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah,
Amon-Ra St. Brown every fucking day of the week. Yes.
I think they're about even.
No.
Yeah.
No fucking shot.
Yep.
I can list 3 other receivers that are going to start week 1 on the Jets. I can't do that in Detroit.
Right. The Jets are also going to run it way less.
No.
Yes, they
Pull
are.
up the
Brees Hall's
stats.
coming off of a year-long injury. You
But
just
that-
keep saying that for
No,
Cooper
no,
Kupp.
no,
You
no,
can't
no, no,
pick
no,
and
no, no,
choose
no, no, no,
for
no,
Brees
no, no.
Hall.
Hold
He's
on,
coming off an ACL.
No,
He was out the
okay,
whole year.
But that is why they are out here trying to sign Dalvin Cook.
Right.
They're bringing
Hasn't
in,
happened.
But they're bringing
We
in.
can't draft someone based on who maybe they'll bring
I
in.
guarantee you they sign another running back by the start of the season.
That doesn't
I
mean
guarantee it.
they're going to be like Dalvin Cook level.
Well, here's the thing.
It also doesn't mean there's going to be chemistry with Aaron
Here
Rodgers.
is the thing. Aaron Rodgers has always supported a great fantasy running back. You cannot say the same thing about receiver. He has not always had a wide receiver 1. Aaron Jones has been a dog the whole time he was there.
Devontae Adams was excellent for 5 years. The wide receivers that he had in the 2010s were great. Jordy Nelson was in the top 10 wide receivers every single year. Aaron Rodgers is a good goddamn quarterback. He's not
In
going
his prime.
He's also running the offense. He's going to
like
throw the ball.
37
All he
now.
wants to
2
throw-
ayahuasca
Now,
trips deep.
okay, if you want to say Aaron Rodgers isn't actually going to be good this year, that's a whole nother thing. But you can't say that he's playing favorites, that Garrett
I will
Wilson's going to be
say,
here. I think Garrett Wilson could
you
easily
put
break into the top
player
10.
versus player, where they're going in the drafts, Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Garrett Wilson, it's an easy pick for me to go Amon-Ra St. Brown. Because Garrett Wilson, there's so many other options. And let me finish on this. There's so many other weapons. I think Aaron Rodgers takes a regression. It's first year with the Jets, you know. He's not going to be as comfortable. I think he takes a regression. There's age. It's first year on a new team. All those components. So I think Rodgers takes a step back.
How did Tom Brady do with Mike Evans?
Okay,
There's a ton of weapons on that team.
Mike
ton of
Evans.
weapons on that team.
Mike Evans is so much better than Garrett Wilson in his prime, though. Mike Evans has
Garrett
put
Wilson's a second-year player. We haven't seen that.
Mike Evans has put up 10 straight years of 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
We've never seen that.
No, I know.
That dude is insane.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson's
Okay,
younger.
you're not comparing him to Garrett.
I could.
No.
When you're
that's
talking
not
about
a
chemistry,
comparison.
when you're talking about chemistry, trying to figure out, trying to get into a new system, you can't bring up
Okay,
new
then
system.
let's talk about Tampa then.
Oh,
'Cause
Tampa's fucking
No.
terrible.
Back to the Brady
Yeah.
thing. When Gronk came in,
Yeah.
we saw a very big touchdown regression on Mike Evans' side when Gronk
Did we?
joined. Yes.
Because he still was like a top 10 wide receiver.
With the exception, so last year, if we look at it, with the exception of his 4 touchdown game at the end of the season, Mike Evans would not have been a fantasy
Last
value at all.
year, the Buccaneers were a fucking mess.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the year that Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. He
Yeah.
absolutely lit it up. It was
Yeah.
there was no chemistry issues. Then you could say Tom Brady's better than Aaron Rodgers, but
And
that's a marginal difference. We're talking about 4 MVPs
6 rings
versus
to 1.
6 rings. 4 MVPs. Brady doesn't have that either. I'm not saying Brady's worse than Aaron Rodgers. I'm saying that they are in the same stratosphere of veteran quarterback going to a young, talented team where they're going to be calling the shots. Aaron Rodgers is calling the shots. It's going to be a ton of passes. Breece Hall isn't there. Garrett Wilson, his target share might go down, but the passes are going to be better. There's going to be more touchdowns.
People are drafting Garrett
plays.
Wilson as if
he's not a first rounder.
No, but they are drafting him in the second and third rounds.
He 100% should be in the second round.
Second round? Yeah.
Second round. Yeah.
So here's my thing. If you go running back first round, that means he's your wide receiver 1. You're okay with that? I'm not. I'm definitely not. Absolutely not.
I would take him as my wide receiver 2.
If Garrett Wilson
but
is your wide receiver 1,
than a lot of running backs.
Garrett Wilson is your wide receiver 1 in a fantasy league, you are not making playoffs.
Okay.
I assure you.
Then we get into team construction. I agree. If you got a running back and he's your wide receiver 1, then probably stay away. If you're going to get Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and then you also get Garrett Wilson on top of that, that is the best wide receiver room in the goddamn league.
Yeah.
Like, if you can get him at the end of the second round, and then you could pick up if you could pick up Jahmyr Gibbs in the third, are you kidding me?
No.
Are you
So
fucking kidding me?
That's
a fucking team.
Here's the thing. Another guy who's going second round, Devontae Adams. And
I would take Garrett Wilson over Devontae Adams.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Always lean towards the better quarterback.
If Devontae, I'll make a deal with you right now. Barring any injury.
Well, they're going to get injured.
No. Either one. But barring any injury.
All right.
If Garrett Wilson outperforms Devontae Adams this year, you can give me a buzz cut next year on the podcast. We'll do it.
All right, we'll
Clip
do
that.
it.
Absolutely.
Right,
you can give me a buzz cut, okay?
Yeah.
But because it's not going to fucking happen. It just won't. It will not happen.
All right.
Devontae Adams will have a much better season than Garrett Wilson. Guaranteed.
All right.
Before we wrap this up, because it's almost that time, I do want to mention a player. He's getting some buzz if you listen to a lot of fantasy podcasts. He might not be a name that you've heard of if you're just like listen to one here or there. But there's this wide receiver named Quentin Johnston, who is a rookie that got drafted to the Chargers this year.
TCU.
Yes, and he is a phenomenal player. But he got drafted to be the wide receiver 3 this year.
Yep.
Behind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Now, granted, I get it. Both those guys have injury concerns. And maybe one of them goes down. But you can't draft him in the off chance that one of those guys goes down.
Right.
I'm not taking him in a standard draft this year.
At all.
Maybe if the value's right. If he's going, like, if he's one of your last couple picks in a standard pick, I'll take him.
Sure.
Yeah. But if my, like, dynasty leagues, I'm fucking targeting him.
Mm-hmm.
Keeper leagues, I'm targeting him.
Yep.
Because here's the deal. If you don't know, Quentin Johnston, pull up his college tape. He is a dog.
Yeah. Big. He's
Mike
huge,
Williams
super fast.
Mike Williams, Keenan Allen both have injury concerns. But more importantly, they both have a team option next year. The team decides whether those two players, both of their contracts could be up and voided by the end of the season. And Justin Herbert is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
It's true.
They cannot afford to bring back both of them. And like I said, they both have injury concerns. I doubt they bring back either of them. I believe Quentin Johnston will be the wide receiver 1 for Justin Herbert next year. And that is a huge asset.
Yeah.
A huge asset. I'm okay with drafting him if I'm in a keeper league. What? I get both my wide receivers taken care of, both my running backs taken care of, get my flex. So that's 5 rounds in. I'll take him in the 6th round.
Wow.
I will take him in the 6th round because I know I'm going to lose a 5th round pick next year to keep him. But I'm pretty sure next year, as the wide receiver 1 in that high volume offense, I think he's going to be a 2nd round pick. I think that is a great value for Quentin Johnston.
Wow.
I think if you're in Dynasty, definitely fucking take him. I'm in a league right now. We're switching over to Dynasty this year, and I could not be fucking higher on this guy. I am in love with Quentin Johnston. I'm going to hang a poster over my bed of him. I adore you, Quentin Johnston. Yes. So I talked about all the picks you should make across the board this whole hour, but I wanted to dedicate some time for the sleeper for
throw it out
keeper
to the rookie.
and dynasty, the guys who are in like these hardcore, because those leagues are just so much more competitive.
Yep.
So I wanted to give just an exclusive pick just for you guys, and that is the fucking guy right there. Quentin Johnston, take him. Also another guy to target, Jamison Williams. That 6-game suspension doesn't look half as bad when you get to keep him next year. All right?
That's true.
So I love him as well. Those are my 2 picks. Also, I have to give a shout out to my buddy.
Yeah.
My buddy Jake was like, hey, man, when's the fantasy football episode dropping? And I was like, oh, we're recording it Friday. It'll probably be out next week. And he goes, oh, can you give me a shout out? And I was like, dude, of course. I was like, not too many people are going to hear this shout out. It's not like we're on Joe Rogan Experience or something. He's like, yeah, give me a shout out. I'm like, sure, whatever. So, Jake, this is for you.
Thanks for listening, Jake.
Thanks for listening, Jake.
We appreciate it.
If you steal any of these players from me in our fantasy league, I will fucking fly to Myrtle Beach and beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. Steal all the players.
Don't you dare
draft
fucking
Garrett
do it.
Wilson and beat Jesse in the championship game with him.
Go ahead. Fucking draft Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's a punk-ass bitch.
Jesse, where can people find you?
On Instagram, on Twitter/X, on TikTok, on all of the social medias at I'm Jesse Townsend. You can find me there. You can also find me every Friday night at Greenwich Village Comedy Club, doing a lot of shows over at Broadway Comedy Club as well.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much just that. And follow me on social media because I also do a bunch of shows that aren't at those 2 clubs. I often do your show over at Ferns in the Lower East Side. Yeah. And so, yeah.
I was going to say, if any of you listening, Jake, if you're coming up to the city and you want to see Jesse on a show, shoot us a message. Tell us you're coming. We'll get Jesse on the show that you're coming to. Follow me at Corey T Comedy on all social media. And, all right. We'll see what happens. I look forward to shaving your head next year.
It's
I'll
not
see you
going to
again
happen.
for the actual NFL draft.
These locks are staying, baby.
No, they're not. They're coming off.